Hey everyone, I'm back this week with a new character video. Today I'll be talking about Dormelle Ashwood, who is one of my main point of view characters in my series A Chronicle of Crowns. So for those of you that follow me on my Facebook and my Instagram account, you might have seen this picture right here that I posted. It's a digital art drawing that I did of the character of Dormelle. I did it in Photoshop, and I used a couple of source images to kind of get the posing and stuff down. It's not exactly how I pictured her, but it'll work. When we first meet Dormelle, she is a 48-year-old woman, and she's living a very comfortable life where she is now with her husband Benjamin, who we talked about in the last video, and all of their children. She sort of acts as the mother figure for most of the books. She has a very kind and gentle heart, and while she does have her own sort of sins and quirks and secrets that she wants to keep hidden, she's very caring of others and always puts others before herself. And I think that in terms of all of my point of view characters, she's probably the most motherly out of any of them. Before we get into her role in the first two books, let's take a look at her past. Dormelle Bard was born in Raven City, which was the capital city of the Highlands, which is the westernmost region in Aurelia. The Highlands is a small region, and probably the second smallest region in all of Aurelia. Its terrain consists of high mountains, rolling hills, and really dense forests. Thousands of years ago, this area was conquered by the Oren men of Daleheim, who are sort of like my Norse Viking characters in the novel. So throughout the Highlands, there's this sort of remnant of this Viking-like culture, but for the most part it has been taken over by Aurelian customs, and the belief of the Order of the Nine in One is kind of paramount in this region, thanks to the Lord Dormelle's uncle, Nigel Bard. Growing up, Dormelle had an older sister, Thelia, who was about 7 or 8 years older than her. And her sister were raised by her uncle Nigel and her aunt Eltie after her parents died. So as they sort of grew up, Thelia was married off to Joxer Hammond, one of the sons of Simon Hammond, who was Lord of Valarin. And if you remember from the last video, House Hammond was the one who sort of rebelled against the crown and sparked a civil war 30 years prior to the events of A Chronicle of Crowns. After Thelia was married to Joxer, Dormelle traveled to the capital, and it was a chance to kind of learn about the court, learn about the kingdom, and find a potential suitor. While she was in Tiergarten, she caught the eye of Prince William, who was heir to the throne. And William actually liked her back, which was good for Dormelle. The two started courting, and then this civil war erupted between eastern and western Aurelia. But the crown needed help, so they sought out some allies, including House Pell, the leaders of the Sea Lands to the south. And House Pell had a large navy, and they were only willing to lend it to the crown if there was a marriage between one of the daughters of Lord Pell and William Arion. So William was betrothed to Genevieve Pell, who was a lot younger than him, and she was kind of this cold-hearted girl who didn't really want anything to do with William. But they were married, and it kind of broke Dormelle's heart. After this whole civil war had ended and William came back, Dormelle just kind of moped around the castle for a while, and then she met Benjamin Ashwood, who had come down from the north to help fight in the Civil War. And while she still had these deep feelings for William, she sort of gravitated towards Benjamin in her sorrow and kind of learned to love him as well. And eventually the two were married. A couple years later, Benjamin's father had died, so they both returned to the Northern Vale, way far in the north, and they started their life there. Together they had a number of children, including Peter, their only daughter Monalise, Balaam, Elhanna, and Oliver. And for years and years and years they lived in peace, and Dormelle was really happy with where she was in Misthaven. So now we're at the start of the first book of A Chronicle of Crowns. Her first chapter is sort of an introductory chapter. We learn about her life in Misthaven, and we see her interacting with her children. But she also gets this letter from King William that's addressed to her and her husband Benjamin. They open it together, and it's an invitation for them to come down to the capital to celebrate his 50th birthday. The king also proposes a marriage between one of his sons, Philip, and their daughter, Monalise. And Dormelle is pretty set against this whole arranged marriage thing, and she has kind of her reasons why. I mean, the whole thing with William being married to Genevieve kind of hurt her, and she always wanted her children to be married out of love rather than to form an alliance or some kind of duty. But Benjamin, on the other hand, jumps on this idea and is so happy that his best friend William wants their families to unite together through marriage. So they travel down to the capital, and on the way they are reunited with Howell Pendengale, who is one of the wizard characters in my book. And Dormelle and Howell had this really close friendship from when she was young and in the capital. He kind of took her under her wing, and they were very close back then. So together they all travel to the capital, and they celebrate the King's Name Day, and they meet up with old friends, and a lot of stuff happens, and some of it is not necessarily nice or good. Things don't exactly go as planned, and Dormelle finds herself in kind of a tricky situation. But you can read for yourself what happens to Dormelle and her husband Benjamin by getting your own copy of A Chronicle of Crowns. You can get an ebook version of it on Amazon, and there's also paperback copies now on Lulu and CreateSpace. There's also a paperback copy that you can order from Amazon.com. Right now it's just on the American website for some reason. It's taking a while to get to all of the different other Amazon stores. As always, you can stay in touch with me through my social media accounts. I'll post the links to them below. And make sure to head over to lulu.com and get your hands on Transcendence, which was my first poetry and photography book. Next week I'll be talking about my character Howell Pendengale, who is a favorite character of mine, so look forward to that. And yeah, see y'all next week!